Good evening. Welcome to Focus with Tim Thomas. We're glad that you've joined us for another edition of our program. We are coming to you from the beautiful Far Side Room here at the First United Methodist Church in downtown Madisonville, Kentucky. And we're glad you've joined us for this program. We have a two-part program. We hope that you will enjoy the program on today. We have coming up on the second half, we'll be talking to Senator Reggie Thomas, who will come in talking about what is taking place in Frankfort with legislature and some of the legislative initiatives that are going on throughout the Commonwealth. But first up, we're going to be talking with Mr. Sean Mooningham, who is the Executive Director of United Way of the Coalfield. And this is a very exciting time for the United Way because we are in campaign mode, reaching a goal, hoping to reach a goal of $400,000 to support initiatives and organizations throughout Hopkins County and Muhlenberg County. So, Sean, welcome to Focus.
Thank you, Tim. Glad to be here. I'm glad to be able to share the good news about United Way with everyone today.
We're glad to have you. And as I said, this is an exciting time for our community.
It is. It's a busy time for United Way and for the campaign committee and for our board, but also for many in our community who are working as site-based representatives for the United Way campaigns at their businesses and their organizations. So lots going on, lots of activities from all hours of the day and night, but we're excited about things.
Right. I know this is a busy time for you and, of course, for your executive assistant, Danette. Trying to be at two or three different places at one time has been pretty hectic.
It has. As you said, it's just the two of us in the office. Danette Emery is the administrative assistant for the office, and she is a miracle worker sometimes with the way she's able to juggle things and get things going and multiple things going on at one time. She's been a tremendous asset as we've gotten into the campaign. So really glad to have her on board and sort of keeps me in line, which is a difficult task, I'm sure you can imagine.
Yes.
And keeps me focused on what's going up next. So it's a busy calendar, as you've noticed.
Yes,
so.
yes. Myself, I've been with United Way for several years and serve on the board as well, and happy again to serve as the campaign chair for 2016-17.
Yes.
My second year. I don't know how I got roped into that.
I don't think you got volunteered. I don't think you volunteered, or maybe you weren't there that day and someone said Tim Thomas should do it again. But if it's not broke, don't fix it. So after last year's campaign, you graciously agreed to do it again this year. So we appreciate that. It's good with us being new in the office. It's good to have some continuity there and some familiar faces to keep things rolling.
Right. Let's talk about the campaign. Who do we serve in the campaign?
We have 9 partner agencies in the Hopkins and Muhlenberg County area, as you mentioned, which that's what makes up United Way of the Coalfield. And that's really who we're in business for. We're here to serve them. They reach the community firsthand, their boots on the ground, if you will. We don't want them spending all their time worrying about funding and where their bills are getting paid by and how they're supporting programs and those type of things. So really the money that we raise goes to them. And those range in all across the spectrum.
Yes.
Youngest to the oldest, as we say in our campaign video. Big Brothers, Big Sisters is one that we'll start with them. They've got a community-based and a site-based program that they do. Site-based goes out to the schools, provides mentoring and after-school programs and things like that. And then the site-based the community-based is where a big is matched up with a little, and they are actually out and they can go to the movie, or they can go to a ball game, or it gives them a chance to bond and spend quality time with a responsible adult that they may not have in the home place. So that program has tripled in the past year, which was one of the things that I think United Way has sort of encouraged them to focus on and been very pleased with the results, and so we're excited to see that grow even more.
Sure.
Big Brothers, Big Sisters, if someone doesn't have that role model to look up to in the home, it's great to have that from someone in the community. We've got a great group of bigs that are there to provide that leadership for those kids. Moving on across our spectrum, we've got the Hopkins County 4-H program, which again moves up a little bit into the youth area, and the leadership skills that they gain from their in-school programs, their after-school programs, their summer camp, all those things. I think about 1,500 students in the Hopkins County system were served by 4-H last year. So it's amazing some of the leadership skills that they develop, and you see when they come in and speak to us, you see firsthand what's being nurtured there, what's growing, and what's really exciting about the future when you've got kids learning those things. So they do a great job there as well. The Hopkins County Community Clinic is another one. The community clinic serves the working uninsured and underinsured, which is a pretty large group right now with all the changes in healthcare and reform and that type of thing. We don't want people falling through the cracks.
Sure.
And so their numbers, I think, are increasing and will continue to do so, so that people do have quality health care no matter what their economic situation is. Hopkins County 4-H, more specifically the Kids Center, is another that we proudly support. Child care is such an important part of a working family's life, and knowing that your kids are well taken care of, and whether it's before school or after school or preschool or summertime programs or whatever the case may be, it's great to have someone that you can count on and is reliable, and that your kids are having they're being well taken care of during those times, so that you're free to go to work and to contribute to our community. Lots of good things. We're not even halfway through our list of 9, and we've already covered a bunch of things.
Absolutely, and the list goes on, and we're going to put on the screen the list of the partnering agencies that we have, and in a few minutes we're going to pause and watch the video. Okay. And come back and talk about it. But the main thing about United Way that we want people in the region to know is the monies that are raised stay here.
Absolutely. That's a little over $4,000 is what goes to United Way worldwide on an annual basis. That pays for licensing and trademarks and the franchise agreement, that type of thing. The rest of the money comes it stays here. It never leaves. It doesn't go off to a centralized location or to a regional office. It stays here in Hopkins and Muhlenberg counties. For the 16-17 allocation period, which started in July, the first payments went out, and it'll go through June of next year. And that was what the 15-16 campaign raised money for, to support. Between allocations and designations, over $250,000 went directly to those agencies and to other partners in the area. And so we can't stress enough that it is money that is raised here. We want to be very transparent with our bookkeeping and our accounting and our record keeping, and want people to feel secure in knowing that the money that they're giving is going where they want it to go.
Right. And it's an ongoing process of trying to educate.
Absolutely.
The importance of giving and the importance of letting them know that the money is staying here.
Right. As I said, it's a 2-person office. We try and keep expenses to a minimum. We're very focused on that. If we can save money on printing, we save it. If we can save it on office supplies, we save it. Whatever the case may be, we're mindful of who is supporting it, and that is the people in this area. Right. And we want them to be proud of what we're doing.
Yeah, and Sean, I know that you've researched where every dollar goes. A dollar for this, if you give this. Kind of explain that to our listening audience.
Well, we had a presentation yesterday from the Penny Ryle Allied Community Services and their home delivered meals program, and that's a big thing for our seniors in Hopkins and Muhlenberg County, and talking about the money that it takes to do those things. And so we're very focused on every dollar counting, and there are ways that you can sort of break that down. That $1 a week can pay for medications through the community clinic, or up to $10 a week can make sure that you've got a meal delivered to a home-based senior, and every range in between. I've encouraged people during this campaign. My focus has been not to give till it hurts, but to give till it helps, and every dollar helps. And I think we've seen that any gift is warranted, is welcomed, is encouraged, and is needed. With United Way of the Coalfield, obviously, that sort of indicates the area that we're in, and when there's slowdowns in the coal economy, that ripple is felt all across the region. So it's tough because the need is greater, while at the same time the ability to raise those funds may be smaller. So I don't want people to think, well, I can't give $50 or I can't give $100. Well, give $5,
right?
You know, and every one of those dollars will be well spent and will be accounted for, and will go to help people in need here in our area.
Absolutely, absolutely. You have 21 individuals throughout the community.
That's right.
That are heading up various divisions.
Yes.
And who are serving as co-chairs as well. Those divisions are, can you kind of give us an idea? I know commerce.
Yes, we're very thankful and very fortunate to have the quality of people that we do on the campaign committee. I mentioned that this morning in our meeting, how blessed we were to have people of that caliber who are supporting the United Way and helping to spread the message. It's there are, as you mentioned, Commerce's division, which covers banking and you know, utilities and things like that. There is the Industrial Division, which is more of our factories and manufacturing and those type things. The Education Division, which covers Madisonville Community College and the Health Campus and the main campus and the Muhlenberg Campus, as well as the school systems here locally. And so we're encouraged by the amount of people that are contributing via those things. We have the Small Business Division, which a lot of our Main Street economy is sort of mom and pop based, if you will, and so we're thankful for those people, because sometimes they don't have the budgets or the margins to really play with, if you will, but any support is encouraged and so welcomed, and we thank them for all that they can do, maybe on a smaller scale, but it's big to them, and it's big to us. We also have the Professional Division, which is, you know, sort of self-explanatory, the doctors, the lawyers, those type of things. And then the Health and Human Services, which of course covers the hospital and the clinics and the doctor's offices and those type things. So. Right,
and all of these key people are really working hard.
They are.
Listening to the report today, we're seeing that they really are enthused about wanting to help reach our goal.
It's very impressive, and it's also very encouraging when we get those reports from those meetings and see what's working well. We know that it's still, as you mentioned earlier, sometimes it's a task of educating people a little more and letting them know what exactly we're doing and what's going on, where the money's going, that type of thing. And so even if someone is not interested in doing a campaign at this time, we sort of look at it as groundwork for the future. Every no leads to a future yes, we hope.
Right.
So, and those people have got great attitudes and very enthusiastic and are reaching out to people maybe that haven't done a campaign in a while or have never done a campaign. It's great to see those new faces come into play.
Right.
So,
what would you like to see for the future of United Way?
I'd like to see that education sort of reach more people, so that people do know where the money's going, and be able to clear up any misconceptions that people have, that it's that lots of money is being spent on salaries or goes to a national agency or that type of thing. You know, we're very focused on our community, and each United Way serves sort of as an individual entity for the community that it serves, and so we're very focused on that. We want people to know that, and whatever way we can get that across to them, we want to do. I'd like to see it grow. You know, this year I think $400,000 was a pretty lofty goal. I'd like to see us be able to reach that and then take that further.
And it's not an impossible task.
Absolutely not. You know,
we hit about what, 315, 316?
Yeah, I think probably before it's over with, because we're still bringing in money. The way it's set up for our employee contributions and payroll deductions, things like that. The money that's raised in, for example, last year the 15-16 campaign. At the end of 2015, started payroll deductions January 1st of 2016. So all the money that's coming in currently for that campaign is. So I think we may even top 320 by the time that's all brought in. So it's great to have that, but we do want to increase that for the year. And in the future, see that go even higher.
Right.
It's tough. It's
With the economy, I
not
mean,
a booming
it's
economy
not
right now, for sure.
Right. Not a bad economy, not where we were, but it's still a process here in Hopkins County.
And I understand that people are careful with their funds.
Yes.
I'm the same way, and you don't want to spend your money foolishly. That's why we are so focused on making sure that we are wise with where we spend our money and very open about how we're doing it.
Right. But Sean, when you think about the kids that are helped through this, when you think about senior citizens who are helped through
Yes.
United Way.
You've heard me tell the story about the home delivered meals program through PACS and my own grandmother before she passed away. Not only someone bringing a meal there
Yes.
at lunchtime, but checking on her. If they don't get someone to answer the door, then they're going to notify the family. They're going to notify the office, and they're going to be checked on. It's a comforting feeling to know that someone, when you're at work, or when your schedule is packed, that someone is looking after your loved ones.
Sure.
From the youngest to the oldest.
Right,
All of those
right.
demographics. A couple of other agencies that we work with really touch a special part of our community. People that deal with either physical or mental obstacles that make it tough for them. Muir County Opportunity Center, as well as Trace Industries here in Hopkins County, sort of touch that demographic of people that it gives them a chance to not only get work skills, but also life skills and socialization that they wouldn't get otherwise. So Sanctuary is another one that deals, it's a women's shelter and crisis outreach program, provides counseling and a safe harbor if there is domestic violence. We really cover a wide spectrum. I look at the United Way really as sort of a quilt.
Yes.
Each one of those patches comes together, and while they all do very important things, they're focused on a specific aspect. But when you put them all together, it covers our community and it covers the area quite well.
Right.
So.
We're going to pause and watch this video. Tell us about how the video is. How long?
It's about 2.5 minutes long.
Yeah.
PJ Woodside and PJ's Productions put it together for us this year. She and I have worked together on several things, and a pretty good idea of what I wanted, and she was able to make that come to life. And it's basically an introduction. We're not trying to answer every question for everyone or give every bit of information, but just to give people an overview of the United Way and what we do and who we're involved with and how they can help. So.
Right. Well, let's pause and watch this video, and we'll be right back.
Community. 1, a group of people living in the same place. Or 2, a feeling of fellowship with others. What do you think of when you hear the word community? Maybe it's where you live, or where you grew up, maybe where you went to school, or go to where you work, where you hang out with friends, or even where you go to get your favorite burger. Maybe your sense of community is based on your hope for the future or in honoring the past. At United Way of the Coalfield, we think of all those things, and many others, as they relate to the people of Hopkins and Muhlenberg counties. Our mission: to improve lives by mobilizing the caring power of our community through active partnerships with local resources. The emphasis here is on local. Local donations distributed to local agencies helping local people. It bears repeating that the money raised here stays here. The United Way of the Coalfield works with our partner agencies to ensure that our children and youth are encouraged, are cared for and looked after, and given opportunities to grow and develop as the leaders of tomorrow. That there is a safe harbor and a voice for those who have been silenced by fear. That families have access to quality health care and have a place they can turn to for help when facing incredibly difficult or challenging times. That some of the most precious members of our community are given the chance to work and acquire life skills that they might not otherwise. And finally, to know that on a daily basis, our seniors receive healthy, nutritious meals that allow them to maintain their strength and independence. From the youngest to the oldest, United Way of the Coalfield works to improve the lives of all in our community. With your help, we can all live safe, live healthy, live encouraged, live supported, live united.
Okay. So, well put together video.
Yep.
It kind of spotlights.
Yeah, as I said, just an overview, a little bit of information. If people want to get more details, absolutely, please call our office, 270-821-3170. Look us up on Facebook or on the website, unitedwayofthecoalfield.org. Try to have the longest URL out there, but when I tell people my email address, when they factor in my whole name plus that, it's pretty lengthy. But
yeah, well, we want to pause and talk a little bit about you and tell us where you come. Now, listen, I know we're gonna talk about the granddaughter.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
this is just a 30-minute program.
Okay.
So
I could talk for 3 hours about her.
I know that because every time you talk about it, you just really light up.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a native of Muhlenberg County, so I'm excited that the coal field covers both counties, and several of the agencies reach out into Muhlenberg County as well as Hopkins, where we're based. Graduate of Central City High School, which is no longer there, a couple of schools ago, and Western Kentucky University, and moved back after working in Nashville for several years. Moved back and live actually in Muhlenberg County now. And do have a 6-month-old granddaughter.
Here we go.
She had her half birthday yesterday. And
her name is?
Her name is Marley.
Marley.
Marley Jane, yes. So she is. I thought her mother, my daughter Gabby, had me pretty wrapped, but I think Marley may have surpassed that just a little bit. So.
Well, I think Wayne can attest to that.
I'm sure. That was one of the first things he mentioned was grandkids. So.
Yeah.
I understand that all too well, but it's great. I didn't know that I was ready to be a grandfather. I keep thinking I'm still 25 myself, but I passed that a long time ago. But so the work that we do with United Way just makes it all the more clear when I see that next generation come along, and I see her being a part of each of those groups that we help along the way. So it's exciting. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
So it's great. My girlfriend has a 1.5-year-old grandson, so we've tackled both of them together a couple of times, but we're trying to limit that for a little while until we're brave enough to tackle both of them at the same time and get them both running around. But I've been active in this area with the Gleam of Mars Center for years, doing theater there, both on stage and directing several shows and that type of thing. So maybe a familiar face to some of the folks from The King and I or Shrek or some of those shows during the years. But I've been involved with theater for almost 30 years.
Wow.
President of the Muhlenberg Community Theater over in Greenville. Also president of the Greater Muhlenberg Chamber of Commerce this year. So I needed a few more things to do in my spare time. So
I feel you.
Yeah, I know your schedule is probably even fuller than mine. So
yeah.
But
so in front of the camera, this is just normal for you. This is just a breeze.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a breeze, but it's not something that's foreign to me. That's for sure.
Yeah,
but I enjoy performing, enjoy reaching people, and seeing the smiles on the faces at the end is what makes it worthwhile. So
right, and that's why I think the committee in the selection of you for United Way, I think made such a good choice because not only are you just you're well known throughout the community with the Gleam of Mars Center as well, but it takes a special kind of person, a people person, to be able to go in and out throughout the community and ask for money, to help organizations. It takes a special kind of person for that, and you certainly have that demeanor.
Well, thank you. It's easy to support something you believe in, and when you see something being done well, you want to give it your all, and so it's not too hard to really ask for assistance for the United Way and for the partner agencies that we support. Those are they're doing wonderful work, and whatever we can do to support that is that's easy.
Right.
And talking to people has never been an issue. So that's that part of it I enjoy. I enjoy sharing the information with people and presenting it maybe in a way they hadn't seen before. I think the video this year was a little different maybe than previous ones. Maybe my style is a little different than former directors.
And that's a good thing.
And so it's good to get people a mix. Maybe they won't tire of me for a little while.
Right.
But but I enjoy going out and meeting people and talking to them and sort of sharing our information. So it's been a good fit, I think.
Right. Well, right quickly, tell us the process. We're right in the midst of the campaign. How long is the campaign? And for people that may not know exactly how, at the end of the campaign, how that money is distributed, how you come together to decide that.
Okay. The active campaign will end on November 18th. So we've got not quite a month. We're hitting the home stretch here. And then we will be accepting things for this campaign through December 31st of this year. After that point, things will move on towards next year. We have campaigns going in a lot of businesses and a lot of companies and a lot of offices where people either do a payroll deduction or they make a donation and that type of thing. People are doing fundraisers. They're doing all kinds of, Blue Jean Day or Taco Day or whatever the case may be, Sack Lunch Day, a variety of things. And so that's a big part of it. People can make individual donations, obviously. They can contact us for pledge cards, or they can just give us a call. They can mail us a check to P.O. Box 366, Madisonville. But that, of course, is tax deductible.
Yes.
If people are really focused on one organization, one agency, whether it's one of our partners or not.
Say for instance, if I wanted to give to PACs, I can individualize that?
Yes, if the donation is more than $50 for the year, which that sort of comes into play with payroll deductions because it's taken out in small increments. But if you're making a one-time donation of more than $50, you can designate where you'd like it to go. You can put it for a specific county, either Hopkins or Muhlenberg, or a specific agency, PACs, for example. There, you just note that on the pledge card, and that money then will be considered a designation, which is separate from our allocations, and that goes directly to them on a quarterly basis.
Gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
The process takes a while. In late May, we will send out information to the agencies in our area, the packet containing the application and what we need back from them. They will get that turned back into us in late June. And then we have an allocation panel that we put together from United Way board members and community members. I think we had 17 on the panel this past year. So we'll meet in early July, and the agencies will come in and make a presentation. We'll review their application, review all their paperwork. They've got to have certain things in order and be well established and have bookkeeping in order and those type of things. Have a board in place, a variety of criteria that we're looking for. And then they present to us what program it is that they're supporting and that we're supporting for that. So we were fortunate to have 9 partner agencies that we had about $238,000 just in the allocations that we went out for the 16-17 year. So we want to make sure that we're supporting good things, and as we have stated earlier, that the money is staying here locally. Yeah. And so that's what we've done.
Great, great. On the screen you will see, and you're located where?
We are in the U.S. Bank building on the 2nd floor on the corner of Main and Center here in Madisonville. It's P.O. Box 366, Madisonville is the mailing address. 821-3170 is the phone number. People can give us a call, and Danette or I will be happy to give them some more information.
Right. So we're going to put that on the screen for you to see, and please call, make a donation, search your heart, and support United Way of the Coalfield.
We appreciate it. It's, I think you will see that it goes to worthwhile causes and very worthy causes, and it's, you may have a connection to one of those agencies, you may have a connection to many of them, and that's really, we cover the spectrum, and I think we reach a lot of people that way.
Sean, thank you for being on Focus.
Thank you, Tim. It's been my pleasure. Always good to talk to you.
Good to talk with you. Been talking with Sean Mooningham, Executive Director of the United Way of the Coalfield. Stay tuned for the second half of our program. Welcome to Focus with Tim Thomas. We're glad you've joined us for another edition of our program. We have with us here in the beautiful far side room of the First United Methodist Church here in the city of Madisonville, none other than my good friend, Senator Reggie Thomas, who represents the 13th City District of Lexington. Welcome, Senator.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Good to have you with us, and glad that you were in this area where you can sit down and talk with us.
Well, I'm glad to be back in Madisonville.
Glad to have you. Our listening audience, this may be the first time they have seen you. Tell us how long you've been in office now.
I've been in office, I got elected December 10th, 2013. That was during a special election. The previous senator had resigned to become a judge there in Fayette County. So the seat was open. I ran and won my election and got sworn in January 2nd, 2014. So I've served now almost 3 years. Fortunately for me, when I filed for re-election at the beginning of this year, I became unopposed. So I'm on the ballot unopposed, so I will be back serving the people for another 4 years there in Lexington, beginning 2017. I'm very honored and humbled that they've appreciated my service. I'm honored to represent them, and so I will start my second term in January.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And by all aspects, you are doing a fantastic job for the citizens of the Commonwealth.
Well, I try. I try. I'm most proud of the fact, Tim, that I've never missed a session. That got tested this year because in March, I had my first ever kidney stone, and that was extremely painful.
Yes.
But I fought my way to the Senate.
Wow.
I met roll call and actually voted. And after the last vote, they escorted me out to the hospital.
Now, that's real dedication.
But I've never missed a session, and really have tried again to serve the people of Lexington, to meet all their needs, and I'm proud of my record. I must say I'm proud of my record in terms of what I've done for my constituents and my community and for the state.
Yes, yes. A lot of issues taking place in our Commonwealth.
Lot of issues.
A lot of things going on. Let's talk about KNEC.
Okay.
Tell us where we are with that right now.
Well, Governor Bevin campaigned on the fact that he was going to dismantle Connect, and he has kept his word. That's what he intends to do. He has applied for a waiver to substantially modify Connect, and there are some very controversial parts of his new plan. One has a pay requirement. We're talking about people who are in poverty, but he wants them to pay a portion for their health care. Another controversial aspect is there's a work requirement. You have to do a certain amount of community service. And again, we're talking about people who are struggling. I mean, people who are below the poverty line or at the poverty line who struggle to find work, but he wants to add a work component to that. And probably the most controversial aspect of his plan is that if you miss a payment or you don't do your work requirement, then you can be kicked off for 6 months and can't get back on until you pay all your delinquencies. And again, you're talking about people who don't have enough money to begin with, people who, many of whom are homeless, have problems, just sustaining themselves in terms of feeding themselves, clothing themselves, and then to have these people go off the healthcare rolls just complicates things. So we'll see whether the federal government, the Department for, I think it's Health and Human Services, grants this request. If they don't, he initially said that he was going to still dismantle Connect, which would have the impact, and it's what your viewers need to know, which would have the impact of kicking 440,000 people off the health care rolls. I mean, that would be devastating for this state. He's kind of backed off of that some. Governor Bevin says that he didn't know what he would do. But again, he has been a strong opponent of Connect, and we'll see what happens.
So as you said, that will have a very, very devastating effect if that is to come into fruition.
Well, Tim, I think it is fair to make this point. When Governor Beshear implemented Connect, we had over 20% uninsured in the state. We were among the highest in the nation. In the 3 years since Connect's been in existence, Tim, we have gone from 20.2% uninsured to 7.5% uninsured. We had the highest improvement of uninsured to insured of any state in the country. We have been the model, and that's no exaggeration. We've been the model in terms of the Affordable Care Act and what it can do to bring people into the insured roles and provide them with better health care, routine health care, an opportunity for just routine screenings, cervical screenings, diabetes treatment, dental access, which is a big problem in this state. They are now insured and can get those kinds of treatments where they couldn't get them before. So to go backwards and have a high population again uninsured is just I can't see the sense of that. I guess that's what I'm trying to find the right word to say. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
I understand exactly. Yeah. So it's a work in progress, and something will have to be done,
Right.
To make sure that these people,
Right.
are our people of the Commonwealth, are protected.
I would hope if the federal government denies our waivers, I would hope Governor Bevin would realize the benefit of keeping Connect in place. I would hope that he would do at least the Medicaid expansion portion. Well, I'd like to see the whole program be kept in place.
Sure.
But at a minimum, Tim, the Medicaid expansion, because we're talking about about 450,000 people who are in danger of losing health care.
Right. And Kentucky is one of the leaders in
We're the model.
healthcare.
We have been the model.
Yes.
We have been the model for a state-run healthcare exchange. We've been the model.
That says a lot. It really
There are
does.
50 states, and when people all over the country are lauding you for your healthcare operations, I mean that is a real compliment to our state.
Right, because I do know that Kentucky leads in various diseases and ailments that are taking place.
Well, Tim, we talk a lot about the Kentucky uglies. The fact that we're last in the nation in lung cancer. We're 49th in cancer deaths. We're 48th in diabetes. We're in the bottom 20% in obesity. I mean, we have a huge number of healthcare issues, which we're near the bottom. And by having the Medicaid expansion and Connect in place, we have seen improvement in all of those areas. Now, it's going to take some time to get out of the bottom 20th percentile, but we're making progress. And I would just hate to see us as a state go backwards and again stay at the bottom. That's not good for this. That's not good for any Kentuckian.
Right. Moving on, let's talk a little bit about Marcy's Law.
Okay.
And being the president of the Kentucky State Crime Stoppers Association, I know the importance of combating crime, fighting crime, this type of thing. This law, very important to our Commonwealth.
It is. Good.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, let me tell your viewers what Marcy's Law intends to do. The purpose of Marcy's Law is to provide a constitutional victims' bill of rights for victims who've been harmed, as part of our criminal justice process. People who are victims because they've lost people to murder, or they've been robbed or assaulted, burglarized. It would constitutionalize, place in our Constitution, a victims' bill of rights. Now, we already have in Kentucky a crime victims law. So we provide crime victims with certain rights already, notification rights regarding hearings or opportunities for community-based services, such as healthcare treatment or counseling or whatever. So we have a statute in place that provides help and assistance to victims, but Marcy's Law would put that in the Constitution. And there are some controversial aspects of that I want to share with your viewers, although I am a proponent of Marcy's Law. The way the statute is written, it mandates that the victim has a larger role in all hearings. You know, that would be the investigative process, that would be any pretrial hearings, the trial itself, sentencing. And there's been concern expressed that the victim may be entitled to an attorney or have a right to an attorney in all of these hearings, which would complicate things from a prosecutorial standpoint, and may suggest that the victim and the victim's attorney and prosecutor's attorney, may be at odds in some cases. And if the victim didn't like the overall outcome of a criminal justice proceeding, the victim could appeal that or seek to overturn that, even though the prosecutor would be satisfied with that. That's a concern of some.
Yes.
And so what happened this past legislative session, the Senate overwhelmingly voted for it. I supported Marcy's Law. I voted it out. It got over to the House, and it got a committee hearing, went to the House floor, but stalled there, and didn't get voted on by the House. I suspect Marcy's Law will come back again, and I'm confident that it'll get out of the Senate. And this time I hope it does pass and becomes law, because I do believe that victims should be heard. I think victims should have their day in court too, because they're the one who's been harmed.
Yes.
They're the one who suffered the full force and brunt of the criminal attack. And they deserve to have, again, their voices part of the criminal justice system.
Yes. And this bill, I think, was Bill 175.
Right.
That, as you said, that was put up.
Right. So.
This law is really the voice of the victim.
Right. Right. And briefly, by way of background, there was a gentleman who lost a daughter by the name of Marcy out of California, and he's been going all over the country seeking to have states adopt this constitutional Victims' Bill of Rights. And now he's been successful in several states. It's now gotten a lot of wind behind its back here in Kentucky. And we'll see what happens this legislative session. Again, I'm hopeful it will pass and be on the constitutional ballot the next time we have a statewide election for the voters to consider and hopefully approve.
Yes, yes. Tim's Law?
Tim's Law. Tim's Law. Another important piece of legislation. Right now in again, go back to our healthcare system, we have a small group of people, Tim, who are put on medication to deal with various mental health issues, okay? And as long as they're on the medication, they're fine. I mean, they can go about their lives much like you and I can. But, because they can do that, sometimes they feel like they don't need that medication. And when they don't need their medication, then they have some very severe mental health problems: anger, violence, destructive aspects. And if they don't voluntarily seek treatment, Tim, they don't get treatment. And the only way they can get treatment is they get arrested, become part of the criminal justice system, and the judge orders them for treatment. Right? Well, what Tim's Law does is Tim's Law has conditions. It says if this happens twice within a 12-month period, then the families can involuntarily place that person in a mental health facility for treatment. Right? And it's named Tim's Law because there was a mother who had a son named Tim who 37 times, Tim Thomas, 37 times was called by the family to come because of Tim's violent outbursts. Because she couldn't require him to get treatment involuntarily. And he ultimately died, you know, because his behavior became so extreme that eventually he died during one of his outbursts. So that's what Tim's Law is designed to do, to take this small group of people who need medication, need counseling, need treatment, and say if they don't voluntarily seek treatment, the families can involuntarily seek treatment if they have 2 outbursts within 12 months. And just let me add this one other thing too, Tim. We still treat mental health in this state and in this country as if it is taboo. You know, we don't talk about it, we don't fund it properly. And the reality is that most of our mental health treatment today comes from our jails or prisons. We don't fund our mental health facilities properly enough, have enough beds and doctors available to provide them with the proper health care treatment they need. And our criminal justice system should be the last place where people get mental health help.
Very true. And when you talk about mental health, when you look back and up to the present, a lot of families don't really want to talk about it. You know, they won't sometimes keep it a secret.
You're absolutely right.
You know?
You are absolutely right.
And how important it is to bring that to the forefront. And hopefully with this law, it will enable people to bring that to the
Right. It empowers families who have family members who need mental health treatment, mental health counseling, who refuse because of their illness, their sickness, to get help voluntarily, to get them the help that they need. So you don't have people like Tim's mother who see their child just waste away and die because of failures of the system.
That's right. That's right. And people slip through the cracks.
A lot of them do. A lot of them do. What we need to do, Tim, truthfully, is properly fund mental health. I mean, it's just as prevalent, you know, as cancer or diabetes or a whole sort of common illnesses that we come in contact with. But again, because we think it's something that shouldn't be talked about and shouldn't be discussed, and we want to keep it secret, you know, it far too often goes ignored, and people suffer because of it.
Right.
Families suffer because of it.
They do, and they suffer greatly.
Right.
Suffer greatly.
Absolutely.
So this is something we've got on the radar that we're going to be looking at.
Right. I would encourage you and your viewers to look at this very closely, because again, this will come before the Senate and the House in the 2017 session.
And our viewers need to reach out to our elected officials.
Absolutely. Yes.
And voice their opinion and voice their support of this.
I would hope that they would.
Right, right. Expungement.
Yes.
Another hot topic issue.
Right.
Here in our Commonwealth.
It is. Well, I'm very pleased to say that in the 2016 session, the General Assembly passed a felony expungement bill. So we now have one in place. You know, we have debated this for 20 plus years or more and not gotten very far. But now, individuals who've committed certain felonies, is 61 in total, and you can go to the Department of Justice website and see what those felonies are.
We had bipartisan support for this.
Both houses passed it.
Both houses passed it. And if you go back and look at the data and some of the history of that when we celebrated the March on Frankfurt.
And you were there.
I was there.
Front and center, I remember that.
Yeah, when we celebrated that. That brought to the forefront because we had speakers that talked about this. That kind of brought to the forefront as well of the importance of this.
Yes. And so, while it didn't go as far as some of us would have liked, it is a start, and it has been successful. We've seen more than 1,000 people get their felonies expunged and get their life back.
Right.
Because, Tim, as you know, prior to the felony expungement law coming into existence, felonies have been a life sentence here. You know, we say in our society that once you do the crime and do your time, then everything's forgiven and you know, you're a full-fledged citizen again. But you and I both know, and many of your viewers know, that is not true. You know, felony follows you in terms of your ability to get employment, your ability to go to school and get financial aid, your ability to get certain benefits like housing. You know, it is like a big strike against you in terms of moving forward in your life. And it handicaps people, you know, in terms of really trying to do the right thing and make the most of their life going forward. So this felony expungement bill will sort of get rid of that and say people really do get a second chance in life. You know, we're a nation of second chances. We believe in second chances.
Right.
And that's what this felony expungement bill does.
It gives that person that opportunity to step ahead. And every step begins, for the journey, begins with a first step.
That's right.
And that's what this is.
That's right.
That's what that is.
That's well said.
Yeah, and as you said, bipartisan group, who headed that bill? Who was the...
Well, Representative Darrell Owens
Yes.
was the champion of that bill out of Louisville. He's chair of the House Judiciary, and he was the initial proponent of it. But I will say that President Robert Stivers, President of the Senate, was also very supportive of the bill, as was the chair of the Senate Judiciary, Whitney Westerfield. They both supported the bill. And I would be remiss, Tim, if I didn't talk about the fact that my own state representative from Lexington, Jesse Crenshaw, for years championed this bill and a companion bill that gave ex-felons their automatic voting rights. So Jesse Crenshaw from Lexington deserves a lot of credit for this bill finally coming into law.
Great, great. And we appreciate the hard work of these legislators to do this, and it's paying off benefits.
Yes.
It really is. The Work Ready Kentucky scholarships that is in place. Tell us a little bit about that.
I am very, very proud of this plan.
Yes.
This was a plan that was put forward by Speaker Stumbo, by Sandy Overly, who's also part of House leadership. And this idea, which was part of our budget, was that it would give individuals who are Kentucky residents who have finished high school the first 2 years of college free. Okay. Now, what that means, Tim, is it was initially designed to say if you went to the community colleges, you could go there free. Okay. But we expanded that at the last minute to include all four-year schools. So whether you're talking about Murray State here in Western Kentucky, or UK, which is in my Senate area, it allows, it pays for the last dollar of your scholarship. So after you get university scholarships or Pell Grants or whatever fellowships, if you still haven't met all your tuition obligations, the state comes in and pays the last dollar. So in essence, your first 2 years are free. And this provides wonders, Tim, for students who need to go on and get that additional education. I think we all know, Tim, that today a high school education is not enough to provide a sustainable quality of life.
Right.
You need some kind of certification. And I'm not saying, and I don't want your viewers to misunderstand me, I'm not saying everyone has to go to college, okay? But everyone needs some kind of post-secondary training, whether you want to go into auto manufacturing or cosmetology or some kind of software or IT work. You need some kind of certification or specialization or credentialing.
Sure.
Okay? And this would allow Kentucky residents to go get those credentials at no additional cost. In other words, it's like rather than paying for K through 12, we're now paying for K through 14. Okay? And of course, we need that because we're a state that is still below 50% in terms of having a number of college graduates or people with the educational skills. And we have a workforce gap, Tim, here in the state. There are more jobs available than we can fill because people don't have the skills needed. And this is a way to address that skills gap here in the state.
Wow.
Now I have to add that even though this was in the budget, it won't be implemented because of a decision made by Governor Bevin until the 2017-2018 budget year. It got delayed 1 year. So it's not happening now, but it will come into existence beginning July 1st, 2017.
Wow. Okay. So we know that it's on the road.
Yes,
it's
yes.
coming into fruition.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm proud to say that here in Madisonville, Hopkins County, we are a work-ready community, which is good. Established here a few years ago. We're really, I see the progression through the community colleges and through the workforce development here, as well as economic development.
Well, I'm pleased to hear that. I know Judith Rhodes real well. You know, her husband was a colleague in the state Senate, Jerry Rhodes.
Right.
And I'm very much aware of the fine job that she did as president of Madisonville Community College. I've not met the new president
Dr.
yet.
Kelly, yes.
Okay, but I'll be back down here, as you know.
Yes.
And when I return, I would like to meet your new president of MCC.
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, she plans to be with us at the 33rd annual MLK countywide celebration that you always attend.
I do, and I'll be at this one this January, God willing.
That's right. That's right. Right.
Well, I would like to meet your new president at that time.
Be a great opportunity. Medical marijuana.
Yes, yes.
It has a big buzz feed.
Oh, it does. It got a couple of hearings.
No pun intended.
That's right. I like that. I like that. Was good. That was good. That was good. Anyway, it got a couple of hearings this summer during interim session, and the room was packed.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
There's a lot of interest from constituents. Again, your viewers should know that we passed a very mild piece of legislation dealing with medical marijuana in 2014, my first session, that allowed for the two state universities that have medical schools, the University of Kentucky and the University of Louisville, to offer something called cannabidiol oil, some cannabis oil, to be used to treat patients who had chronic diseases like diabetes or glaucoma or other illnesses where it's been established that marijuana use can help. No skin issues, constant coughing. But Tim, the problem has been that even though we passed that legislation, we have no statistical evidence or research to show what we've done with it. I mean, I don't know if the universities are even doing it. I've asked for this a couple of times at hearings. So you have over half the states now, including the District of Columbia, allow for medical marijuana. The states that have issued it have not gone back and said, we made a mistake here. Several other states are considering it. It's really time for Kentucky to implement and allow for the use of medical marijuana. It has been medically established to have a lot of good uses for individuals. And it is really heart-rending to see people come forward and testify about how they could use it and how they don't want to do anything illegal by going to another state and buying it and having to come back to Kentucky and risk being arrested. So again, I hope we really do consider this and bring it to both houses for a vote and for approval. I certainly support it.
Well, that's great. That's great. And you know, I'm glad that the meeting went well.
Yeah.
I'm sure it did, and I'm sure everybody left on a high note.
You're really witty, Tim. You're really witty. I'm enjoying this.
Look, it's been great having you on, you know, and being able to communicate,
Right.
you know, and just to share your friendship.
Okay. Well,
And the great
you are a
work
dear
do.
friend of mine. You are a dear friend of mine, and like I told you, I will be back in January for your Martin Luther King Day celebration. It truly is a very spiritual, very emotional service. I get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
When I drive back to Lexington, I have a good feeling while I'm on the road going back, having attended your event. And again, I will be back here in January.
Look forward to it. And Senator, we look forward to continue working with you and others in the legislature in the upcoming days and years ahead.
Well, thank you very much, Tim. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right, then.
Been talking with our good friend Senator Reggie Thomas, who represents the 13th district out of Lexington. He's been coming and sharing some of the legislative projects that are taking place in our legislative body. We encourage you to call your legislators and to let them know and voice your opinion on some of the things that we've been talking about here on Focus. We hope you'll tune in again to our program. We thank you for joining us. I am your host, Tim Thomas. By all means, keep sharing the dream.